Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. Well, let me introduce you to the last lathe that I'm ever going to buy. It's a wood lathe that I picked up extremely cheaply off eBay, and it's a real vintage thing. I picked it up just the other side of Weatherby, about 50 miles from where I live. It's not too far away, and there are a few bidders on it, but it went for £32.50. What more can I say? I've been spending a day on it trying to get to know the thing, and it's not your normal wood lathe. It's a 1.6 millimetre, 1.6 metre bed on it, and width wise it's 800mm wide, the bed. Originally, when I looked at the photographs on eBay, there was only one photograph of it, and I zoomed in on the photograph, and I presumed the bed was two pieces of angle iron that had been bolted together, but it's not. It's one piece that's been cast. Now, I spent about a day and a half stripping it down and looking at the thing. To me, it looks like the chap had bought it. The lady who was selling it, it was her father's lathe, and he died recently, and she's inherited the house, and he was an engineer, and he had a big double garage at the back garden, and when I got up there, the driveway, the front garden and the garage, it just absolutely crammed with gear. A lot of it's just going to go for scrap. Some really nice equipment there, but how much gear do you need to carry on buying? Anyway, I was pleased just to get this. Problems that I found with it. It looks to me as though the chap's bought it and just put it in storage, and with the intention of restoring it, and they've just never done anything with it, and quite a bit of rust on it, but being its age, everything is over engineered and rock solid, so I've still got one or two problems with it. First of all, the tailstock. I couldn't get the quill to move, and when I looked at it, the locking lever on the side here had totally corroded away, and when I tried to loosen it, the handle just snapped off. So what I've done, guys, I've started to drill the bolt out. My understanding with these, my experience with these in the past, is there's a bolt that on a lever, and then inside there's a pin that moves in and out with a flat on it that goes into this slot that's machined into the quill, and as you tighten the lever, it pushes that pin in, and that locks into the slot. Anyway, I managed to get that bolt out. The pin probably disappeared when I was drilling with it, but I've managed not to damage the quill at all, and that moves in very freely now. When I get the quill out, it's in really good condition. There's a slight bit of play on it's a number 2 Morse. There's a slight bit of play on the quill, but I have got a number 2 reamer that will sort that out, so that's no problem. What I'm going to do, I'm going to drill the rest of this out and tap it with a 12mm, and then I'll make a new lever for it and locking pin. So I'm pleased it's free, so that's the quill, guys. I'm thinking this started life as a copy lathe, because the reason I think that is, let me just move the quill out of the way. The reason I'm thinking that, guys, is there's a cross slide with it. There's a cross slide that came with it. That also has this compound slide that fits on with a tool holder. So that might be a bit of a giveaway towards the copy lathe direction. Now again, this was rusted up and full of crud. I've managed to free the compound slide, so that works nicely now. But the cross slide is absolutely rock solid. I've had the mop gas on it and easing oil, but it's absolutely rock solid, and if I put any more pressure on it, I'm likely to break the screw. Now, unfortunately, because of its age, all the bolts that I put through, instead of being Allen-headed bolts, they've just got a flat machined on for a straight screwdriver. And once things starts to get rusted up and solid, they're an absolute pain to try and undo. Now I've no intention of using this on this lathe, but I would like to get this up and running again, because I thought it might come in handy on my horizontal milling machine, because the bed on that is a rack and pinion, and it has its advantages but there's also disadvantages with it. So what I thought was, if I got this working, I could mount this on the horizontal mill and use this as the X and Y axis when I need to. So I would like to free this. I'm toying with the idea of drilling these bolts out. If I put it on the vertical mill, I'll be able to drill through there and drill these bolts out. Then these two pieces will come away, and I think that might help me to free the screw up. You can tell its age, guys. All the nuts on it are square. This is the bolt that held the headstock down, and I don't know what date they started putting hexagonal nuts on, but all the nuts on it are square. That's a good indication of its age. This is a mechanism that goes underneath the cross slide, and it's got two rollers, again rusted up. It's got two rollers on there that run on the underside of the bed, of the wares. This was just lying on the floor. As I said, I don't think the bloke had ever, I don't think the chap had ever done anything with it. He'd bought it and just put it into storage. Well, this is the headstock, guys. It's originally driven by a flat belt. This was one of the pulleys that was on the spindle. I've managed to get that off okay. It looks as though it's had some damage there at some stage, but no intention of reusing that, so not too worried about that piece. this is the spindle itself. I've got lots of cast iron gears, but I've no idea where they go, and I'm not too sure about this bar at the back. Badly corroded. Intention is, guys, I'm going to take this cast iron gear off, reuse the spindle, and just put a V-belt pulley on in place of that. I'd like to try and keep these arms if possible, and just try and loosen these 4 bolts up and take this bar off. I don't think I need that, but looking at the width of the new pulley that I've got, I've got a couple of decent cast iron pulleys with V-belt type, and with a bit of machining that will go on there. Just needs a couple of mil out of reaming out to the centre of this, but that then will replace that gear pulley. Chuck that came with it. Oh, a decent faceplate as well, which I've managed to, well, I've started cleaning it up. Not sure what thread this is, I've not measured it yet, but that'll clean up nicely. Don't make them like that anymore. And a chuck came with it, 3-jaw chuck. Now again, I've started cleaning this up. There is a name on, Cushman I think it is, Connecticut, USA. This was absolutely locked, solid, not been open for a long time, but so yeah, that's all freed up now, so that's okay. There is a taper in the spindle, but I've tried some of my drills on it, and it doesn't seem to be a Morse taper, a lot shorter. So whether it's their own manufacturer's taper or not, I don't know. I'll have to look at that, but and there's no way of forcing the taper out. There's no holes at all in the spindle, so not too sure about that. I'll have to look into that, but there's certainly a taper in the spindle. Well, first job, guys, I'm going to try and put a new thread into the locking mechanism for the tailstock quill, and machine a new pin so it locks into that slot. And then I'm going to again, it's just the grub screw's just got a flat a slot machined into it, and that again is rock solid, and I've just run out of map gas, so I may mount that on the milling machine and just drill it out to take that off, and then I can machine that new pulley down to go onto the spindle. But yeah, the last lathe I'm ever going to buy. Right guys, do I turn the spindle down or do I bore out the pulley centre? Decisions. There is a keyway already machined into this. It's not a great deal off. Well guys, I've been looking at the pulley and the spindle out of the headstock, deciding which I should reduce, and I've done a measurement, and with just under 3.5 millimeters bigger diameter on the spindle than it is for the hole in the pulley. Now with this having a keyway in, I think I'm going to leave that as it is and take the 3 millimeters off the spindle. It is reduced down. It is reduced down at this end where it sits into the bronze bearing in the headstock, so I don't think it's going to weaken it at all. I'm not reducing it any more than it already is, so I'm going to take the 3 millimeters off this spindle. When I had it in the other lathe earlier on, taking the cast iron gear off, I thought there might be a bit of run out in the spindle. I thought the spindle might have been bent. Anyway, I mounted it up in the collet choke, the part that sits into the bearing, and I put a live centre at this end, and when it's running, it's running through, so I don't think there's any problem with the spindle itself. Now this is the point where that cast iron gear was mounted, where this hole's been drilled in for the grub screw. So there's a bit of a dodgy bit there. I'm not sure what's happened to that, but I think that 3 millimeters will get rid of that. So I'll probably take it up to about this point. I've got a bit of play where I can mount this pulley wheel. There's quite a bit of space in the headstock, so it doesn't have to come right up to where the original one was. So maybe come about halfway, it'll just get rid of that that bit there that's damaged. I don't know if this is hard material or not, but we'll soon find out. Yep, I think I'll push on there, guys. So that's sorted. I think I've got a key out, yes. I don't want to push something for the length of it. I think I've got a key. Yeah, I believe that will push on there, guys. So that's sorted. I need a wood rough key now in this. I don't want to cut a slot in the full length of it for a I think a wood rough key. Oh, well, there's a culprit, guys. Look at that crud. No wonder it wouldn't move. Well, the screw passes through the body 2 inches this side, possibly 3 inches this side. There are some oiling rolls that are blocked up, 2 here, 1 on this side. But the screw itself doesn't look too bad condition. I think it's just the sheer amount of crud that's built up that's blocking it. There's a sleeve with a locking pin on this side, so as you turn the handle, the screw is held in position. It moves the table rather than drawing the screw out. Once you've taken that pin off, that should push through then. So I think it's just the amount of crud on either side that's stopping it. So, but at least I can get to it now. Let's give it a good soak in some oil and try and clean these threads up, and I'm hoping it'll come out then. Yeah, I would have never have got those bolts out with a screwdriver. Well guys, the nut itself is free. It looks as though that's always been free, but even with the big adjustables on and giving it a bash, the screw's absolutely solid. Yeah, it's just the two ends that are caked up. I don't even think if I put it on the arbor press it would push it out. I think it's a matter of warming it up and plenty of easing oil, and just be patient with it. Be ashamed to break the thread. Well, these are the two dovetails that I've just taken off, and don't seem to be in too bad a condition. You can see the centrepiece where the slide has been left, and the two ends have been exposed. No gib with this, guys. There's no adjustment on it whatsoever. No set screws on the side or anything. There's no adjustment on it. I don't know if that's because it's been a wood lathe, or I just don't know. This is probably the worst of the two. Again, you can see where the slide's been left. And it's relatively clean, and just corrosion on either side. But I think that'll clean up. These were the three large bolts that were holding it to the bed. I've just machined through the threads of them and prized them out. You can see how they're corroded on the inside. Yeah, I don't think I would have had any joy with the big screwdriver trying to get those out. I don't know if you guys know what date Allen-headed bolts came in. I've not found a name or a date on this lathe yet, and I've more or less stripped everything down. There's two large A-frames that are cast that form the legs either side. I've not had a good look at those yet. Possibly a stamp on those, but I doubt it. But no, I've no idea what age it is, but it's certainly knocking on. Well, I'll turn it on end, guys, to hopefully get some of the lubricant running down the threads. I just thought I'd show you that. That's one of the bolts that were holding the dovetails onto the base. There's 6 of these, with just you can see the size of them, and they'd rusted up with just a slit for a screwdriver. Okay, putting them together when everything's brand new, but a nightmare trying to get them out after 100 years. Not a chance. Maybe an impact driver. Well, I think I'm getting there, guys. I think I've got it worried now. I'm just toying with the idea whether to put it on the arbor press. I might just leave it overnight for that to soak in. Well, I've just been looking at the 6 holes, guys, that I've drilled out. They're a cap screw that fits in, but when you look at the hole for the threaded part to go through, it's elongated. It's not something that I've done with the milling machine. All 6 holes are elongated left and right, so presumably that's to allow any adjustment on the dovetails. With it not having a gib, that'll allow a bit of play and movement for the dovetails. This piece, guys, I may have showed you earlier. This was lying on the floor, it wasn't attached to this, but there's 2 pins that go through these 2 holes, and there's a roller on a spring loaded roller on both sides, and you can see where this piece has been sat on the bed. You see where the rust marks are, so that sits on top of the bed. And then this goes on underneath to allow some movement. There's a large rack that bolts onto the front of the lathe bed, Presumably with some, I've got quite a few gear wheels and I'm not quite sure where they go. I've no intention of putting those back on the lathe, but I think that's how it was set up originally. And the spring-loaded rollers allow for the movement along the bed. There's no thread on this hole through the centre, so I'm not quite sure how the cross slide was bolted down once it was in the position you wanted it in. But I won't be using this. I was just thinking that piece might, I need to make a banjo for it. So I'm just thinking that piece, to take these springs up and the rollers, that piece will form the clamping piece underneath the bed for the banjo. Well, I've no map gas left in the blowtorch, guys, so I'm just thinking, I'm wondering if this is too wide to fit in the propane furnace. It might just fit in. I want to take some measurements. If it'll fit in the propane furnace, I'm going to put it in that for 5 minutes, get some heat into these two sections. Success, guys. It wouldn't fit into the furnace, but I just placed it over the top lengthways and spun it round once, left it for a good few minutes, and yeah, it was just the two, as I thought, it was just the two ends that were just caked up and rusted up that were holding it. So I've just put the slider plate back on to hold the nut upright while the thread comes out. Can't be far off now. Yeah, once you take the retaining ring off the far end, there you go. Once you take the retaining ring off this end, normally it should just pull out. It's not in too bad condition. It's just years of neglect and lying there. But yeah, these two unmachined ends without the thread on were the problem. The nut itself was fairly free. Anyway, just needs a good clean up now, and the nut should be on the bottom of that. Yeah. I'll free that off now. But oh, that's cheered me up.
I wish I was a spaceman, a fastest guy alive. I'd fly you round the universe in Fireball XL5. Way out in space together, conquerors of the sky. My heart would be a fireball, a fireball. Every time I gazed into your starry eyes. We take the path to Jupiter, and maybe very soon we cruise along the Milky Way and land upon the moon. To a wonderland of stardust, we'd zoom our way to Mars. My heart would be a fireball, a fireball, 'cause you would be my Venus of the stars. But though I'm not a spaceman, famous and renowned, I'm just a guy that's down to earth with both feet on the ground. It's all imagination, I'll never reach the sky. My heart is still a fireball,